we're trading at 90-to-1 gold ratio. And I know there's people out there that don't really think much about the gold ratio, but I'm one of those individuals that do believe in the gold ratio. And I don't know how the mining sector can mine only 7 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold being mined worldwide, and we have a financial ratio of 90-to-1. That to me makes no sense. It's got a lot to do with the paper market, because there is a lot of paper, silver out there, and because it's such an industrial market, the banks, do use paper to supply silver, to the physical buyer, and they use the markets to hedge against those trades, which creates, this large amount of paper silver in the market. So it does have some negative impacts, on the silver price, but that doesn't necessarily have to last forever. One of these days, one of these banks is going to get an order, and they're not going to be able to fill it. That's my opinion.
The gold to silver ratio is currently at 90-to-1, which seems mismatched given that only 7 ounces of silver are mined for every 1 ounce of gold. This discrepancy is primarily influenced by the paper silver market, where banks use paper contracts to hedge and manage supply. Since silver is heavily used in industrial sectors, this creates an imbalance that suppresses prices. However, this may not last forever. If a major bank cannot fulfill a physical silver order, it could trigger a shift in the market dynamics. Keith Neumeyer, a prominent figure in the mining industry, explains that the mint has been in production since March of last year and has already achieved record sales and production. Unique silver products, such as the 1776 Bar and Lunar Series, have been well received. With new marketing hires and strong demand, the goal is to increase production through the mint from 5% in 2024 to 10% in 2025. The mining conference is a key event for networking with major industry players and investors. Despite record free cash flow and strong future projections, institutional investors have hesitated to enter the sector. Many are waiting due to concerns about a potential stock market correction, which could also impact mining stocks. However, if such a correction occurs, history suggests it could trigger a significant influx of investment into mining, similar to the early 2000s, leading to a prolonged bull market for gold and silver. Keith Neumeyer highlights consistent growth, with silver production increasing and costs decreasing each quarter in 2024. However, reported losses are mainly due to non-cash currency fluctuations related to holding funds in pesos and tax liabilities being converted to US dollars. These accounting factors create misleading financial statements, but don't reflect actual operational losses. Investors should focus on mine operating earnings and cash flow, as a growing treasury and strong free cash flow indicate a healthy mining business. We're about to explore the video, but first subscribe and hit the bell icon to keep up with our newest uploads. Your feedback in the comments is always appreciated.
Well, it's early days. The mint has only been in production since March of last year. We had a record year, mind you. We had a record quarter, selling a lot of silver. We're producing unique products like 1776 bar, where we did the Lunar Series. We just released the snake. We released the dragon a couple months ago. So we've got some pretty unique products that are selling. We just hired a couple of new marketing staff into that business, and I'm optimistic that we're going to grow it substantially. We got about 5% of our annual production through that mint in 2024. Our goal in 2025 is to get 10% of our production through the mint. Well, as a mining company, we have to be here. This is the mining conference, for institutional investors worldwide. So all the big players are here, all the big mining companies are here. So it's a great event to, shake hands and rub shoulders with some of the, who's who in the mining sector. I know many of them, we have, and BMO treats us very well. So it's nice to be here. But the institutional money, still is really not coming into this sector. And you would think, at $2,900 gold and $33 silver, the institutions would be just jumping all over this market. Our free cash flow in Q4 was $68 million, a record free cash flow quarter. And I think the stock was up a couple pennies when we put that out. Q1 will be another record quarter with Gatos being put into the picture, and Q2 will be another record quarter after that because of Gatos. So, the future is very bright for First Majestic, but it's just definitely not showing up in the share price.
What would you think is holding institutional investors back? What is it they want to see or need to see?
It's a good. I get asked that question all the time, and I just think there's so much talk about the S&P being so highly valued. and the Nasdaq being so highly valued. And I think they're among some funds, and maybe this is too general of a statement, but some funds just think there's going to be a stock market correction of some kind, and whether it's 15 or 20 or 25%. And if such a correction did occur, that would affect the miners as well. So I think that there's kind of a wait and see attitude out there. But if that correction ever did occur, I would almost suggest, this would be almost like 2001, 2002, when the Nasdaq crashed and gold was at $250, and then there was this rush of money that came into the mining sector in 2002 through 2005. And then we had a 10-year bull market in the mining sector with gold hitting 1,800 and silver going through up to 50. So I'm thinking we're going to see that all over again. Well, there's a slide on our PowerPoint presentation. It should be on our website that shows every quarter comparison for 2024. Every quarter this year, we produced more silver than the previous quarter. Every quarter this year, also the costs went down. Every quarter, in line. It's just perfect charts. They're on the website. People should go have a look at it. The loss that showed up, it's really a non-cash loss. And this was kind of confusing to some investors because, we have such a large amount of money in pesos. So we're subject to peso currency fluctuation. And also our tax liabilities are all calculated in pesos. And then it's converted into U.S. dollars, and that's how we report it, in U.S. dollars. So, you can get fluctuations of 10% in the value of the peso in one quarter. So you have these very noisy financial statements, which shows these losses every now and then, but they're not real operating losses. I would suggest to investors who are looking at the mining sector, look at mine operating earnings, or look at cash flow. That's really how if the mining company's treasury is growing every quarter, through the sale of metal, and their free cash flowing, they've got a pretty good business. I would pretty well ignore the bottom line, quite frankly.
In a recent interview with Paul Harris, Keith Neumeyer points out that the new administration in Mexico has taken a more moderate approach toward the mining sector than the previous government. While it's still early, mining permits are now being granted, including some the company expects to receive soon for tailings rehabilitation. Other mining firms have also seen approvals, signaling a positive shift in policy that could benefit the industry. The company expects to produce 32 million silver equivalent ounces in 2025, with an all-in sustaining cost of $19 to $20 per ounce. If metal prices remain stable, free cash flow could reach $200 million for the year. The treasury is at a record high of nearly $400 million. After facing water shortages, labor disputes, and operational issues, the company has resolved them. It is back on track with key mines performing well and positioned for strong future growth. Keith Neumeyer highlights that the company is actively buying back shares, with its repurchase program continuing into 2025. With no significant capital expenditures planned, the focus is accumulating cash and strengthening the treasury. The goal is to end 2025 with a substantial cash reserve, potentially positioning the company for future acquisitions. Now, let's jump into the interview.
Definitely we're not seeing those very flamboyant headlines, that we saw, against the mining sector from the previous administration. She's really calmed down the tone a lot. It's early days still. It's only been a few months, but there are permits now being granted. We've got a couple. We've been told we've got a couple that we're waiting on, and they've told us we'll have our permits in the next couple of weeks. It's for tailings rehabilitation and so on. But you need those permits from the environmental authorities to do that work. But other mining companies have been getting permits, so yeah, it looks like a big change is coming in Mexico, which is nice to see.
And is she got a 4-year term, a 6-year term?
6 years. Well, the guidance on a production level is around 32 million silver equivalent ounces, and our cost, for that will be somewhere around 19 to 20 in that range, all-in sustaining cost. Cash flowing, it's hard. It's really hard to say because metal prices. If we have metal prices stay where they are today, we'll have around $200 million in free cash flow for 2025. The treasury right now is quite strong. We have almost $400 million in the bank right now, which is the highest treasury we've ever had in the history of the company. we went through a bit of a hard time over the last couple of years. We had, the Licantata lose their water source, or at least a third of their water source. We had the labor relations issues at San Dimas, and and then we had the Jerry Canyon issue as well. So those three issues, I think, really kind of hurt us in a way. And now those are behind us. Licantata is back on track again. We got the water all hooked back up. San Dimas labor issues are now behind us, which is fantastic. And now we've got, and Santa Elena is just, always doing fantastic, which is great. And now we've got Los Gatos. So we've got three mines that are over budget and one mine that's slightly under budget. We're going to buy back stock. We have been in the market already. We news released just a couple weeks ago the shares we bought back in last quarter. And that program is continuing. So look for more news on our share buyback program. Really, I just want to hoard cash. That's really we don't have any real big capital expenditure projects in 2025, and I want to see ending 2025 with a very substantial treasury. That's our goal.
The silver market faces a supply-demand imbalance, with institutional investors remaining cautious despite strong financial performance in the mining sector. However, improving conditions in Mexico and strategic company initiatives, such as increasing mint production and stock buybacks, signal confidence in future growth. With a record-high treasury and a focus on cash accumulation, the company is well-positioned for potential acquisitions and market shifts. How might a disruption in the paper-silver market impact silver prices in the long term? What factors could encourage institutional investors to enter the mining sector despite stock market uncertainties? Share your feedback in the comments below. If you found this helpful video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to keep up with our latest updates. We appreciate you being a part of this journey.